Welcome to the Mindset Mirror Connection podcast. In today's episode, we have a client spotlight of my client, Erin, who has worked with me through a variety of different life changes. Erin has gone from a woman who is engaged and getting to her wedding and wanting to look absolutely stunning at her wedding, going through the wedding, honeymoon phase, then through pregnancy, and now postpartum. And her story is one you will want to listen to. So if you're ready, listen up and lean in as we elevate your mind. Look at you with background. Look at these guns, though. Can we just flex? Yes. The shoulders. It's the shoulders,
Yeah.
Love it.
All
Well,
credit to
I'm so glad to have you on. We have just created such a beautiful friendship and, your dedication to this process and really learning how to kind of just recreate all the stuff that when we first met, you're really struggling with. And I think that so many women out there can relate to this, and not just in the point of we're going to talk about your specific life, transitions, but just change in life in general, on top of having a very stressful job. Then we add a child into that. So thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. Talk to me. I already know this story, but for those who don't know, Erin and I started working together when I was contracting through a different program. She then came over to the Mindset of Matter and talked to me about what life was like kind of prior to our work together.
So I was, I think 33, 34 when we started working together. And I think I can remember back as early as high school, starting fad crash diets.
Yeah.
And in a way that when you look back and you look at pictures, you're like, why was I ever on a diet? It's just the unfortunate of being an 80s baby growing up in the 90s. But
Exactly.
so I think I started with the stupid Special K diet. I've done Weight Watchers. I've done a ridiculous diet that involved
What was
eating
that diet's
7 bananas
name?
one day. It's I forget, it's the banana diet or something. One of my girlfriends can probably remember. It was the stupidest thing I've ever done. One day was all vegetables, one day was all fruit, one day was all banana and milk. And you could always eat this cabbage soup. That was the
That is
gist of it.
so
So it was,
random. Do you hate
yeah.
bananas now?
And no, somehow I still love them.
Oh, I mean, they are delicious. So
That's right. It wasn't a hard diet. Everyone's like, I can never eat 7 bananas in a day. And I was like, oh, I could definitely eat seven
yeah,
bananas in a day.
I don't like bananas.
I've done the Whole30. I think I've done everything but keto because I refuse to ever give up carbs in my life. But yeah, it just a lot of yo-yo dieting, maybe having brief moments of feeling like I liked my body, but for the most part, hating it. I played college softball. I always felt bulky. Therefore, I lifted in college and fully fed into the idea that lifting will make you bulky, when really it was the all-you-can-eat pasta buffet at college that makes you bulky. And so, yeah, just kind of never feeling happy in the body I was in.
Yeah. I remember when we first talked, that was your biggest struggle, comparing yourself to others and always feeling like you were quote unquote bigger, even with your partner, your husband now. I feel bigger. I don't like feeling this way. And it almost being, it didn't necessarily affect your relationship, but in the back of your mind, I'm bigger than him, or he's not going to be able to, XYZ with me because of my size. And it was just so ingrained into so many areas of your life, this belief that weren't, your body wasn't good enough, if you will. And, obviously, trying everything out there that is, common. People always are, see it on the internet and they're like, oh, perfect. I'll just try this new thing. And, talk to me about that cycle of okay, I'm going to try the new thing. I try the new thing. I do well because I know you, I know when you put your mind to something, you're going to do it. But then what do you think the struggle was with maintaining the progress you would make?
Yeah. I mean, none of them are set up to maintain. That's the starting point. I also grew up just in diet culture, watching my mom do every diet under the sun. My mom, my aunts, everybody just always a different thing, a different quick fix. I just need to do this to get to this point and then I'll be okay. That was just the mindset of how I understood dieting. And so I think I had done macros slightly, like once before we worked together. Because I was trying to do a boxing match, and I got with a coach who, through that, who gave me my macros and gave me kind of like a set meal plan of like this typical torture you think of, like
Oh God.
broiled chicken breast and like
Eh,
brown rice and spinach, or like whatever the thing, like just your very bland, very gross, very not maintainable in life thing. And I got results. I was in a friend's wedding that summer. Like I love how it was or whatever, but it didn't last,
mhm.
I think, more than a month. And so coming to you and getting to hear about a reverse diet and maintenance and all these different like phases has just been a whole different ballgame.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for some women, like this would be the first time they even hear about those two things because we're, especially, your age, my age, I'm what, 5 years older than you, I think.
Four
Where you
or
at?
five, yeah.
Yeah. It's it's always diet, 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 diet. Like for some women, they have never not been in a
Yeah.
diet, even if their eating isn't necessarily a like calorie deficit in their
Mm,
brains, they're on a diet, right?
yeah.
Because when we have that like binge restrict kind of mentality, then obviously we're not in a deficit, but it's just this I'm on this thing, I'm on this thing. And for the first time in their lives, we're like, well, we're actually going to teach you something else and that you actually shouldn't be on a diet, for, or a deficit, I should say, for that long. So I think it's really important because a lot of our listeners are those high achieving women. I don't know if it's because of you or just the culture in general, but now we have I could probably start a business just on healthcare workers.
I mean, some of it's because of me.
This is true. It is. Erin has been a
A lot of them
wonderful
happen to be in
resource
Boston.
and referral for the Mindset of Matter. But tell people what you do because I think, someone could be listening and be like, oh, well, that's easy because she, stays at home all no, she doesn't. She has a fucking job. So talked about what you do and kind of how your job impacts your body, both mentally, physically, and emotionally.
I am a nurse. I am a cardiac surgical ICU nurse. Um, and before that, I was a floor nurse. So for anyone who wants to judge, I've done it both. And so I work
Nobody should be
12-hour shifts.
judging, by the way.
Yeah. We're nurses. We're nurses. We do.
Yeah.
um,
Good to know.
yeah. Each other,
Anyhow.
just each other.
Yeah. Okay, good. Whew. Just kidding.
um, so I work 12-hour shifts. Um, I used to work day and night shift when I worked with you, like initially.
Mhm.
And that's a whole different battle. And again, like even getting to learn kind of like how we would look at things over like a 24 or like 48
48.
hour
Mm-hmm.
time frame. When we were doing like macros and things like that was a huge game change because some nights I would just like get to 11 and be starving and feel like I couldn't eat or whatever before we worked together, and just kind of getting to be able to rework that because when you're sleeping in on your day off, you're not eating as much, and so like it fixes itself.
Yeah.
um, I now also live 45 at a minimum minutes away from my job. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
commuting a lot of the time as well. So 3 days a week, 45 plus minute commute.
Mm-hmm.
And I now have an 18-month-old son. So on my off days, I am never off because he only, with the exception of today, goes to daycare on the days that I am working. So
Mm-hmm.
I am a full-time mom when I am not working.
Yeah. Which is
And so
amazing.
there's not really much downtime. And honestly, I think that was a huge fear of mine. Switching from when we'd worked together, I was engaged, I was getting married, I had all the free time in the world.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then getting pregnant and going through that and reaching back out to you for, we can kind of get into what level of coaching we did this time, but
Yes.
to just kind of get back into things, that was a huge fear of mine of like, I don't feel like I have time, and I don't work out as much as I used to, because I don't have the time to and all that stuff. And like we were just talking, like people have commented lately, I look even stronger than I did before my wedding. And it's ironic because I'm working out less. And so I think
Yeah.
even though I felt like I didn't fit that bill of people that you get that you're like, you got to do less. I was like, I do plenty of less. Like I need more, but
Yeah.
sometimes still the less is working.
Yeah, no, it definitely did. And, and myself, I cheered in college. You were a college athlete. Like, that grind mentality. You know, you have practice X amount of days per week, then games, then conditioning. And in your mind, that's what we know. It's, you know, we do work with a lot of ex-college athletes who are in that mentality of do more, do more, do more. And during the, you know, going into the wedding, you know, we definitely, you know, did more than we did now, but it is absolutely insane. And we'll put up the pictures. We've actually pulled back. So where I have Erin right now is 2 workouts that she repeats twice a week. So making it super simple
And
where
I
what was that?
I'm saying, and I maybe hit those 3 to 4 times a week. It's rare that I get 4 a week.
Right. Well, and that's why we did it that way rather than having
Yeah,
like 1, 2, 3 workouts. You know, you
yeah,
told me you go, I just went,
yeah.
and she was the beautiful thing about it is we had already worked together. So you started to figure out what works for you through the work together of, okay, this is my reality. I want 2 workouts. And then I can kind of toggle between those two. If I just do 2, fine. If I can do 1 or 2 more, great. And then, you know, tracking your macros, of course, and calories. And I mean, your body has like completely shifted. And like we said, I mean, you look tighter, you're stronger. And I also, too, now upgrading to new equipment, which is exciting. So
Yeah.
now that's the problem with working with us. It's an investment up front, but then you just start buying a bunch of shit. You know?
Still cheaper than a gym membership for sure.
That's true. That's true. And so I want people to hear that because when we're looking at someone's reality, so the circumstances, we have to look at like how is everything that they do impacting their body from a physical and mental standpoint because stress on the body can really be the barrier of seeing results. And so with right now, I know you're like, what are you, 11 to 11? Is that your schedule?
I either do 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. or 11 a.m. to 11 p.m.
Yeah. Like that schedule, you know, that's a very long day. I talk to my healthcare workers. I explain to them, like, your job is like being an athlete. You know, you are up, down, you're moving people, you're you know, transitioning people from one bed to the other. Like, there's a lot, it's very physical, even though I know sometimes there's downtime when you're doing like medical records or whatever, but they're very long days and they're very stressful days. I mean, your job alone, just what you do, I mean, people's lives are in your hands, and that takes a toll on the body. And so looking at, and again, you were the one who said, no, this is what I want to do. But that was very much a mirror to, you know, how we approached things before. And, you know, for people listening, like you've got to look at like what you can do consistently because the pictures I posted today were from February. It's August. And if you think about that, that's not a long amount of time, but just the
Yeah.
ability to be so consistent. And then let's talk about this. How many you just had a vacation, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then was it 2 vacations since then? You had the
No, I have
girls'
another one
trip.
next week. Oh
Okay.
yeah, I've had yeah. On the time we did the cut, yeah, I was on a
Hmm.
girls trip. We had the vacation. I think I went to my in-laws in that time. So like
Hmm.
three out of my routine, if you will.
Yeah, which
Yep.
is fantastic and still seeing results. So, for those people listening, like what attracted you? You know, obviously we had worked together with the other company, but you know, coming into the mindset of matter, like what would you say is different than maybe coaching you've had before? Even the coaching program we worked together before, if there are differences. Let's put that on blast. No, just kidding.
um, well, I do have to. It's like one of my favorite stories to tell. Is honestly when I started through the other program, they have you take like an intake call with a kind of like a recruiter is how I look at
Hmm.
it,
Hmm.
to try and match you with a coach that makes sense. And I remember them saying like we have these two. I think it was 2 guys. They're like so nice, and I was like, so I actually do a little bit better with a coach who like kind of gets after me and like yells and like that's how I performed better in college and whatever else. And they're like, oh, we got the girl for you. And like they hit the nail on the
I
head
don't
because
yell.
no,
Yeah.
but you are the tough love and mixed with more emotional support and kindness than I think I ever let myself perform well under before.
Mm-hmm.
But because you can like do both, it almost probably actually improved my ability to be able to be coached in a kind way,
Oh,
which
yay.
I think is also an improvement for
Yeah.
my well-being.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for
um,
sure. I interrupt this episode to bring you our August promo, which is $1 for 1 month of the Mindset of Movement fitness training app. This app has been designed for anyone, whether you're a beginner, advanced, whether you have access to a full gym, or maybe you have dumbbells at home, or maybe you only have 20 minutes and you want to get a great workout in. If this is you, this app has been designed for you. The app includes 4 phase training programs. We have a 5-day split for someone who has access to a full gym. We have a 5-day split if someone has access to dumbbells. We have a 3-day body weight and band split if you want to start there. We have a 3-day time crunch dumbbell workout split if you're short on time. And we have core programs that you can add to any of the other programs. The nice thing about this app is that every month the workout change. The workouts are going to be designed based on the previous workout, so they're well phased so that you get the results that you desire. You also get access to our community forum of like-minded individuals to share your experience and share your workouts and your success. You'll also get access to a variety of resources that the Mindset of Matter includes in this program. So if you're ready to get in the best shape of your life, click the link below to get $1 for 1 month. And here's the great thing. After the first month, it's $29 per month. So you'll definitely want to partake in this. Now, back to the show.
and so we got paired up there. I'm trying to think. You went out on your own towards the end of my time there.
Yeah, it was
And then we were kind of made,
2022.
yeah, it was like right around my wedding, or maybe right
Mm.
before.
No, we were through the wedding and the honeymoon. And
With the old program.
then, yeah. And then I feel like there was that time, because how long did it take? How long was it between wedding and getting pregnant?
6 months.
Okay. Yeah. So I want to say there was
Yeah.
that break between like after the honeymoon and then
Yeah.
getting pregnant.
Because we kept working,
Of course.
but in like different capacities, I guess. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of big difference. I mean, I think I was also I feel so lucky. I know people who have gone through that other program and just didn't feel they got great results. They didn't feel the way I felt coming out of it. And I know that the factor that's different there is you. They didn't have you as a coach. And you guys would do like seminars or webinars or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And yours were always the best. And I remember them reaching out and being like, I wish she was my coach. Like, that's so good. And I love how that she did that and all that kind of stuff. And so
Mm-hmm.
I've always said this. I know that you are the variable that was different there. And so I'm so appreciative of that. So when I've had people reach out for recommendations and start to go down that road, I'm like, no, she went on her own. Go this way.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, no, it is so different. And, for me, the psychological part of it, and, I even have a quote from one of my eating disorder clients, and she said something similar. She was like, she's got that kind of tough love with like a side of compassion. And the tough love part really is like reading through the lines of things and not just hearing what you're saying and then reacting to that, but like thinking about it from a level deeper. Like, what is behind this? What is the process rather than the content? And sometimes for people, like, it's the first time that they've even become aware of some of the stuff that they're doing internally and then how that affects their behaviors and their outcomes. And I think for you, just being able to open up and be vulnerable, and again, it does, and for people listening, it does take a level of trust from the get. I think you and I are just very similar. So our first conversation,
Yeah.
we're like, hey, we love you. So we both have like similar personalities and humor,
Yeah.
but it's that trust aspect, that rapport is so important. And then, for us, just and now the Mindset of Matter as a team, having the ability to do that, to read through the lines, to say, hey, I think this is a little all or nothing here. Like, let's talk about that. Let's
Yeah.
talk about why we're struggling with this, like what's underneath it, rather than, oh, well, then let's just add another meal to your day. You know what I mean? Where a lot of
Yeah.
coaches will just change behavior, where we're going to change your behaviors and your mindset. And
Yeah.
so, go ahead.
I think too, like I've had coaches in sports. I've had, I've worked out at gyms where I've gotten close with trainers, but you're the first like true coaching. And then I always tell people all the time, like, I'm like a licensed therapist. I've gone to therapy myself before and never had anyone tap into the things you have in terms of like why I feel the way I feel and getting myself to figure that out. And um, it's just, there's, I say it all the time, I love you, but like there's just
I love
nothing
you.
else like it that I've seen, that I've heard of, that I've, people say it all the time. Like, I wish I want to look like you, or I want to do what you did, or I want to whatever. And then I just toe into it, and they're kind of quick to be like, well, I can't do that because X, Y, or Z or whatever. And I think even after listening to you guys on the podcast more, I'm like, all right, then you're not ready. Like,
Right.
because you do have to be ready, and you do have to put in the work, like, and you have to want it. And I guess, like you said, I am an athlete. I'm a competitor. I am driven to do when I put my mind to do something, and I know that
Mhm.
helps. But I think if when people are thinking about it or questioning it, like, you are so helpful. Like, you have to want it a little, and it's going to keep growing. I think
Yeah.
personally, and I tell patients all the time, like when they're having a hard time, like, you got to want it more than me. Like, I can't fix this for you. Like, you got to get up and move. You got to whatever. And like it's the same idea. Like, I have to want it more than you do for myself. Like, I'm the only one living in it. But I think
Mhm.
even for people, even if you just want it a little, you're so good at like helping me realize how bad I want it and helping me realize how achievable it is.
Yeah. And something you said, like, even through this time, I think you've been able to, even while still having, I always say that your like distorted thoughts actually live on a continuum, where there are parts of like our distorted thinking that can serve us. So I always use like people pleasing or caretaking. Like, there's aspects of that that are really like wonderful and genuine, but or achievement. Obviously, we want to achieve, we want to have goals, but when it's at the expense of ourselves is when it becomes a problem. And I didn't even see you like find this very nice middle ground, even with that kind of hustle that you have of like finding the compassion for yourself, allowing yourself to rest, listening to your body. And, that has been, really wonderful to see, where you can just find this beautiful balance, especially now being a mom. So let's transition into that conversation. So you get pregnant, and now Coach Amanda has the Mindset of Mommies, which is a program. She's actually running a cohort right now that helps women who are pregnant or postpartum, and it's focused on nutrition, exercise, and mindset coaching. So talk a little bit about your experience with that program.
So that, I think, it wasn't up and off the ground yet when I got
Mhm.
pregnant. Um, you had mentioned maybe switching me over to working with her, and I am a creature of habit who was scared, so I don't think I did initially,
Right. I remember that
because I didn't
conversation.
want to leave you.
Right. I'm like, I'm not going
It seems
anywhere.
enough things were already changing.
Right.
But after I had my son, the
That's nice.
Mindset of Mommies program definitely took off on the ground.
Mhm.
And I was able to do that, I think, October of last
Mhm.
year. So he was 8 months old
Mhm.
when I
Mhm.
did it.
Yeah.
Um,
I have the
and I
photos.
think that was super beneficial in giving me, or in reinforcing my ability to give myself a lot of grace. Um, I think it's easy to sit here and look at this video or the pictures you post or whatever and be like, she just snapped back. And like, my son's a year and a half old. I did not snap back.
Which
um,
is the healthy way of doing it.
which is right. And and the being able to do that has been just beyond amazing. In that I nursed him until he was like 5 months when I went back to work. And that is just a lot of time and energy and
Yeah,
taxing
absolutely.
mental warfare. Um, and it's
A
more
lot of
mental
people
work
can
than
relate to
physical.
that. So, yeah.
A lot more mental work than physical. But also just physical. Just you don't have your own time. It's funny, I laughed when you guys did the recent bump date. I should talk to Amanda about sleep training, because until we sleep trained,
Yeah.
my son never slept more than 30 minutes unless he was in someone's arms. It didn't matter if we
Wow.
were at home with our environment. Like, we do the sound machine, we do the routine, we do the whatever, but we've always done that. And until we did that, nothing was ever longer than 30 minutes for a nap.
Oh, wow.
And
On
that's
top of
like
working,
this,
because we're back to work now
yeah,
too.
going back to work.
Oof.
And yeah, it's just not a lot of time. So you then have a maybe nap on you to try and get a longer nap, because he needs more sleep than that.
Mm-hmm.
And so until he was sleep trained, and then especially even just time, once he was down to one nap, was really like when I was able to kind of refocus
Yeah.
back on working out and having the energy, having the time. But I think when I worked with Mindset of Mommies, I wasn't quite there yet. But it allowed me to start doing some things and feel
Mm-hmm.
good about that, but also just like be okay with like accepting like my body is where it is right now, because it just did this amazing thing.
Yep.
And this is just the stage that we're in. Um, because I think had I not met you, had I not gone through the programs, I would have spiraled horribly
Mm-hmm.
with my postpartum body and just hating it and not being okay with it, not being happy, not being able to enjoy my son and enjoy that time. So
That's so
yeah, I'm very
wonderful.
thankful for that.
Yeah. And, we talk about it. Amanda talks about, really having to do that work ahead of time. It's so important because, I mean, I bet you still, even with the, strong sense of self that you've created, you get on social media and you see these women posting and there's a few influencers I've followed early on who then got pregnant and that same idea, oh look, I got my six pack back, and you're like, that's not where I'm at. And for women listening, that's their job. They're not an ICU nurse, they're not someone who works 12-hour shifts. Like, that is their
Yeah.
only job, and it can feel so defeating. But when you have those mental boundaries around, no, I'm going to do what's best for me, and I know that this process, when done correctly, is the long game, then you can again give yourself grace. And like you said, which I think is the most beautiful part, is take that time with your child,
Mm-hmm.
where a lot of women's headspace goes to, I don't look good, I need to change, and so on. So good.
Yeah.
Good, good. So now, you look absolutely amazing. You
Thank
are,
you.
just the consistency is there. What would you say to someone listening who's like, I like these girls, they're cool, but I don't know about coaching with them? What is some advice you would give to someone who is kind of sitting on the fence about reaching out?
um, so many things. One thing I feel like I always forget to like comment on or whatever, but I don't think one, I realized how all or nothing my brain was until I worked
Mm,
with you. And it's
mhm.
so all or or it was so all or nothing,
Yes, it
that
was.
it's wild to like not have noticed that.
Mhm.
As someone who is self-proclaimed like super self-aware.
Right.
um, and so maybe you don't even think you have an all or nothing mindset, or you don't even realize the ways in which that holds you back. But I just think that was just one of the biggest pieces for me with working with you and stuff. Like, I thought about it this morning. We switched up my list because I now have a sad little, it's not a great one, but a squat rack and a barbell.
Love it.
And every time we switch up our list, I know that it takes me longer because I'm not used to them. I don't know the order. I got to kind of check the videos maybe. And I was on vacation for a week with my family, and then I came back, had a day, and then worked 3 days in a row. So I
Oof.
have almost gone 2 weeks without like a true lift, and I am just so tight from working 3 days in a row, like my hamstrings, like everything. And I just gave myself yesterday and today the grace of like I didn't necessarily do the whole workout. I moved through it slow. I kind of went over what the moves were. I think I did for the first day, I just did 2 sets of each thing when
Mhm.
it's normally three.
Mhm.
And I'm totally okay with that. And I think there's 0% chance that before I worked with you, I would have been okay with just doing part of it. Like I would have been like, nope, I can't do it. I don't have the full hour. I don't have the whatever time.
I'm not going to do it.
And
Right.
that, yeah, like that has just been an amazing shift.
Yeah. One thing we
And I
didn't
think,
say is like all of your progress has been at home workouts.
yes, I have not gone to a gym since basically I went back for like a month or something. Basically since the pandemic hit, I've
Yeah.
not been into a gym.
And
And
before
I'm
she moved
so
into
sad
her
when you say
home,
you're going to go back to Lifetime.
I doubt it's gonna happen.
So jealous. So jealous.
Before Erin moved into her new home, I mean,
Oh, yeah.
for those of you who live in the East Coast, she had an East Coast apartment. So
Yep.
she was making it
Yeah.
work. Like, I
A
think at one
very,
point we made some of your furniture like
yes. Oh, yeah.
actual
We totally
equipment.
made my furniture part of the workout.
Yeah. So
And
it
then we
can
brought
be
a
done.
baby home. And then we brought a baby home there. So we
Yeah.
really made it tight.
Hey, but you made it
Um,
work. But anyways, go
yeah.
ahead. Go on.
But yeah. So that, I think that's just like a huge thing I have to like comment on too, is just like, I was someone, if I couldn't go to the 45-minute class at the gym like that, I didn't do anything. Like there was just nothing, I couldn't do it. It was, again, it's out of my hands, whatever. And that shift has easily been one of the biggest and one of the ones that keeps everything progressing for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, and I think for anyone who's on the fence, I am someone who does not like to spend money. I am a nurse. I feel like I work really hard for my money, and I
Yes.
live on the East Coast, so even though like it's not bad money, it's not enough
Right. Well, because
for this
everything
cost
else
of
is, yeah, expensive.
living.
Yeah.
And so for me, I get it. It's hard. It's hard to want to spend a lot of money, and I'm very fortunate that we were able to. And I get that obviously everyone can't do that, and that's why it's so wonderful that you've created like different tiers of programs too and stuff. But
Mhm.
even if you think you even remotely can, or if you're a nurse and you can work an extra shift to make a dent in it or whatever, like before I had my son, I would have done any of those things to make it work to do the program, because
Mhm.
it is, it's just been life changing. And that's what, and I mean life, like I just, it hasn't been 3 months changing, it's been
Oh,
years of success, and I don't feel scared that I won't be able to do it or sustain it or any form.
yeah. I love that. That's absolutely beautiful. And you know, and we, for those who are listening, I have created those tiers because of people like you and knowing that not everyone has that opportunity, but there are people out there who still need the help, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so we have the now self-guided program, which is all the mental health side of things, but all relating back to your relationship with food and your relationship with your body. So very specific. So for those listening, you know, we have one-to-one coaching, we have a group coaching cohort, we have Mindset of Mommies, and then the self-guided program, all designed to, you know, wherever you are, just help you with this because we've seen such wonderful success from people like yourself. So, anything else that you would add for those listening that you think would be helpful and not just understanding us, but just what is possible for them?
I took like some notes. I was trying to remember. I listen to the podcast when I'm driving to work.
Yeah.
And I am the listener sitting there shouting like, the wordle is this and that's how it works. It's not a crossword, and like whatever other.
I was like, it's like a crossword puzzle.
It's
You're like,
like
no, it's not.
every game you're like, it's like a crossword, and I'm like,
Yeah. Well, okay, real quick, let me explain what happened. So my friends were talking about Wordle, but then the girl next to me was on the crossword. And so I thought
oh
that's
yeah.
what it was. And I was like, oh, this is
Mm-hmm.
a crossword puzzle, but it's like five,
Yeah.
little lines. But
Yeah,
no,
yeah, yeah.
that's not what it was.
No,
Now I do it
you
every
gotta add
morning.
connect. You gotta add connections to it too. Great
Oh, I
one.
did connections.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
Okay.
so every morning now it's Wordle, connections, crossword.
Oh, I thought you do the,
I played with that a little bit,
what
but
are
I
they
don't do it
called?
anymore.
Oh, I do all of them. I love it. That's how I tell myself I'm keeping my mind sharp.
Yeah, I love
Um,
it.
I don't like reading. Um, what else?
What is possible for
Oh,
others?
yeah.
Anything
I
else?
think I was a huge group fitness class person. I loved it. Because I love being around people. I love being competitive. I've always loved everything about any of those environments. Um, that I was one of those people, like, I work out really hard. My watch says I'm burning a bajillion calories. Like, why don't I have a body I love, and why don't I whatever? And a lot of that was probably the food component for sure. Would
Mhm.
I have had a better body if I was doing those classes and like doing better nutrition? Yeah. But I was, like I said, I always grew up raised believing, excuse me, that lifting will make you bulky, and I was so afraid of it.
Yep.
And I'm here to tell you, like, it doesn't. It bulks out fat if you have it, but it
It does
leans you
not.
down. Before I had my son, I used to live a really fun life where we went out drinking and partying and whatevering. And I just remember having a conversation with you, like, as you get stronger, you're going to be able to just recover better and still have your fun nights out and just get right back into it and not really notice a change and not have this feeling of like, well, I blew it, so I might as well eat 4 cakes this week and whatever else. And
Mhm.
it's so true. And I don't go out and party and drink as much as I used to, but the principles are still there. I went on vacation with my family for a week and I came back at quite literally the exact same weight as I left. And it's actually,
Love
and
it.
we're at maintenance. We've reversed it to maintenance a few weeks
Mhm.
ago.
Mhm.
And it's like still going down. So I think,
If it's still going
and
down,
I
we'll
used
bring
to
your
be,
calories up. We'll give you some more calories.
I
Yes,
know,
I
I
know.
love it every
Could you
time.
ever imagine like
And I
me
was so
saying,
afraid of that.
yeah, me saying like, you're gonna eat more and you being like, yes, please.
I know, no, because the first time we reversed, it was hard.
Yeah. We
Um,
usually got to go through reverse a couple times because the reverse diet will definitely show your blind spots.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it's
So,
just scary. It's a whole new scare. Like a deficit feels like control, and it's letting go of control.
mhm.
And it's just different. But I remember this time I was like begging. I was like, "Dear God, please
Yes. Like, can I go
reverse me
early?
right now." Yeah, I'm
I
done.
love
And like
that so much when that
I know,
shift
and I
happens.
did
It's
a
like,
20 week. I did a 20-week cut, but
yeah.
that was plenty. I had a
Yeah.
goal I wanted to get to, and I got there, and
Hmm.
never been so
Hmm.
happy to reverse it. And I feel like I can eat like again. I feel like I can eat so many things in a day, and I'm like, I mean, it's calories is
Oh, yeah.
great.
It's awesome. Good,
And
good,
that's
good.
another thing. I think, just someone who's been in diet culture for so long, like those diets that you think you just have to do for X amount of time, then you get there and then you're good. You're basically going into extreme deficits and then surpluses, and that's why it's like not working. And so I
Yep.
think it's just a whole different ball game to be able to understand how you can live a life, go out to a restaurant, not have to feel like you can't live. I talked to a neighbor the other day, like, well, we got to bring our food everywhere. And I was like, oh, God.
Wait,
Like
who said that?
a neighbor who's like, I
Oh,
forget which, not Nutrisystem. It's one of the, I don't know, something. He's like, well, we
oh,
eat all real food, but we got to bring the food or whatever. And I was like, yeah, that's so
no,
tough. But
don't do that. No one wants that.
yeah,
So,
right. So it's just, I don't know. I can't say it enough. As you can tell, I send any and every friend that ever tells me they even remotely want something involved that I send them your way. Um,
yes, I am forever
but
indebted to Erin. She has quite literally built this program.
no, that's like when I say like you get all the credit for all my work. That's not true. You know it.
Well, well, I just thank you so much. And I thank you for, trusting me. And I'm going to get emotional. Like it's been such an honor to like be a part of like those big experiences, those life-changing experiences in your life and being able to like hold your hand through it and see you grow. We got to meet in person. You
I
still owe me a
know.
night out, but we'll have to wait on
I
that. So,
know.
well, again, it's been just so amazing. And I'm so fucking proud of you. And I'm just so excited to, like, it's just so wonderful to see. Like, I know that you will be okay and that you have the foundation and that, in your life, because you're going to go through other life transitions, you now have that kind of boombox mentality of, turning certain knobs down, turning certain knobs up, whatever comes up for you. And and this is something that we didn't even touch on, like we're very big on educating. So like, what to do and how to do
Mhm.
it correctly. And so I, again, just love you so much. And that's why I wanted you on. For those of you listening, if you are interested in coaching with us, we do a clarity call. And I think for a lot of people, and maybe, okay, so while I have you,
Yeah.
um, you've not done a clarity call with me, but like you've done calls with other programs. It's feel very pushy.
And I was actually just going to say, when I tell people about you, even though I didn't technically do the clarity call with you, I tell them all the time, like, she's not pushy. She's going to like shoot you straight. She's going to give you the information and she's going to leave the ball in your court. Like, that's, I think, a huge thing for people too. Like, they're always, especially even if you do know someone who knows them, like, it's almost even harder if you don't feel ready to commit to like just have the conversation, because then you kind of feel guilted into it because you know a mutual party or whatever. And I always tell people, I'm like, I have no skin in the game. I just love what she does, and I believe so strongly in it that I just am happy to tell anyone who wants to hear about it about it. And I was like, but she's also just not going to be like that. She's going to just give you the information, kind of probably give you some aha moments even just in that call, but and then just kind of leave it up to you. And that's your call and that's your decision and that's your whatever. But so I tell people that all the time, actually, when I do get recommendations to reach out to you.
Thank you. It's so true. Like, I want them to walk away and be like, oh shit, she just rocked my world. But also I literally say, okay, I'll send you all of the information. You know, if we do decide to, if they do ask about the coaching program, I've had calls where I just tell people like, well, let's try this, this, and this, and you let me know if because coaching isn't available to you. So I just like to talk about that because it's so scary for people because they've had that coaching call experience where they feel very pressured. That is not the experience. So for those of you listening, if you're interested in group coaching or one-to-one, you can check the Clarity Call link below. Or if you're interested in the self-guided program, we'll also put that in the link below as well. We also have our August promo, $1 for 1 month of our on-demand fitness training app, which will provide you everything you need in regards to training, things that Erin have talked about, videos, instruction, your reps, sets, your rests. So that is our August promo. And also keep in mind, guys, we are starting our September 2nd group coaching cohort. Now, what's important about this cohort is you're going to go through the holidays with us. So big fucking deal. Anywho, I love you so much.
I love you.
Thank you.
For having me.
And for those of you guys who want to see more, hear more, you can find us on Instagram at the Mindset of Matter Coaching. That's myself and all of the coaching team, because we have a whole slew of people who have wonderful knowledge and experience. You will find us on YouTube at the Mindset of Matter. And again, all of those links will be in the show notes below. But if you only walk away with one thing from this podcast, it is this.
What you say in your mind.
You see in the mirror, yes!
Did I get it?
Goodbye. Bye.